The Icons of Real Estate podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomas Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business. From $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
So welcome back to Icons of Real Estate. I'm your host, Tomas Grillo, and today we're thrilled to host Alison Alston, a dynamic force in Charlotte's real estate scene. Formerly from Greenwich, Alison's journey from Director of Development to Real Estate Maven is both inspiring and insightful. With a knack for flipping homes and passion for helping clients visualize potential, she now leads Lodestone Real Estate with creativity and commitment. Get ready to discover the secrets of successful relocation, buying and selling with Alison as our guide to Charlotte's vibrant market. Welcome, Alison.
Thank you. That was quite the introduction. Man, I'm feeling pretty good over here.
Nice. So here in Icons, we love stories. So can you tell us your journey and spare me no details?
Okay, my journey, as I'm getting nudged by this is my puppy, Harley. This is my shadow. My journey, so I am originally from New Jersey. I grew up, my dad was a fifth generation builder and grew up I was such a daddy's girl and loved getting to watch him build these beautiful homes. And just the attention to detail, his creativity with some of the different designs and tweaks and things that he would do. It really just was so inspiring. And then eventually learned from my parents. I watched them. They would flip houses. They would buy and do long-term rentals. They were my first introduction to investing in real estate, which of course I didn't realize it was at the time at first. It took until I was a little bit older and a teenager to really understand what they were doing, but it was a really neat experience. And so I always watched this. One of the things that always fascinated me though was the realtors they worked with. They were so old, like so old. Oh. And I'm saying that whisperingly. I'm now 40 and I'm sure some of the younger agents in this industry are looking like she's so old. Okay. Yeah. But I just didn't see it as a career you could have right away, right? It was something that you retired into. It was something that was a second job, maybe a hobby. The kids had all left the house. And so you wanted to do something. And so it just never occurred to me that could be something you go into, right? So long story short, went to school. Education was really, really big in my family. My dad did not graduate from college. My mom did. And the two of them pushed me and my older sister. And they're like, you are going to get an education and it's going to be a great one. And so they put a lot of value on that. And it has paid dividends. I was very fortunate. They sent me to a private high school, the Petty School in New Jersey, and gave me a phenomenal foundation and ended up leading me to go to Vanderbilt University. That's how I fell in love with the Southeast. I think that's probably the only thing my parents regret is that they let me go to a school in the South. Okay. I moved back home after college for a few years and I just always really wanted to get back. Graduated, I did a lot of fundraising. My mom was really big into philanthropy and making sure we were giving back and supporting others. So I started my career in that. I did fundraising for independent schools in the Northeast, New Jersey, Connecticut, and great relationships, mostly positive experience, and ended up getting a job offer to go be a director of development at the foundation at UVA. And really had to think long and hard about it. My husband and I had been married maybe 6 months at the time. Okay. We saw each other pretty much every night, but our work schedule and life balance was not amazing. It was good by Northeastern standards, but nothing compared to the South. And if I took the job at UVA, I would have been out on the road 5, 6, 7 days a week. And it really just wasn't the life I wanted. But I also didn't want to keep doing the same thing for another 40 years. I was really bored with my job. And I was like, well, what's next? So I remember we got home from Charlottesville. And my husband was like, yeah, I can totally see us living there. And I said, yeah, I can too. Except for one thing, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And he's like, okay, well, what would you like to do? I said, I think I want to go into real estate. So we had a conversation and started talking through, well, what if we do leave Greenwich, right? What if we do move to the Southeast? So I gave him a list of 10 cities in the Southeast that I would be okay living in. We
Mm.
started doing long weekends. The third place we came to was Charlotte. We both fell absolutely in love with it.
Was Charlotte
And
your
we
first
just,
choice?
it wasn't.
It
Honestly,
wasn't?
Charlotte, I
Mm.
didn't have a huge exposure to all that
Okay.
Charlotte is.
Hmm.
When I would come into Charlotte, it would be to visit donors. And I would come into Uptown, and at 4 p.m., it would be dead. I'd look around and think, this is a city, right? And aren't the people supposed to be here? I grew up right outside of Manhattan. So
Okay.
that to
Yeah.
me is what
Hmm.
a city is like, right? The city that never sleeps, everybody keeps going. So at 4 p.m., when I'm seeing crickets running around, I'm thinking, well, this is a little different. And I never really had a chance to explore outside of there, but there was just something about Charlotte and the friendliness of everybody I had met there. And the donors that I had worked with, they all absolutely loved it. They had nothing but wonderful things to say about it. And so I thought, you know what, this deserves a place on the list. Key for us was being close-ish to the coast. This is the first time I've ever not lived on the coast. And so that's a big lifestyle change. I do miss the water. However, I can't imagine not being in Charlotte. And yeah, so we figured that out in, I want to say that was like maybe March, April of 2016. My husband was working for Merrill Lynch as a financial advisor at the time. He put in for a transfer. We ended up moving down here November 1st of that year. I got my real estate license, and February of 2017, I officially launched my real estate career.
Nice.
So
That's
yeah,
it.
so that's my crazy story.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's an amazing story. You talk a little bit about your mental health a little bit when you
Mhm.
were moving. So how do you prioritize person like well-being while navigating the demands of professional life in, like, in the real estate industry?
I'm going to be honest, I was really bad at that. It's something that I have worked really, really hard on the last few years. I have always just been a go, go, go kind of person. I
Mhm.
think part of it is just growing up with the pace, the energy of the Northeast. It's just expected. You get up and you go, right? There's no sitting still, there's no relaxing. You
Mhm.
just always go. You know, my parents were both really hard workers. And I saw that and I was like, well, this is what you do, right? You own your own business, you
Yeah.
grind and you go. For me, it really, I don't think I even thought about how big all of those decisions were until people started pointing it out to us. And they're like, so let me
Okay.
get this straight. You got married. Less than a year later, you moved to a brand new city where you and your husband knew absolutely nobody. You launched a brand new career and left a very successful one and gave
Yeah.
up your paycheck, everything.
Mhm.
You started this brand new career. By the way, real estate is done completely differently in North Carolina than it is in New Jersey. So, how to learn a new way of actually how the residential sales process works. You know, we were newlyweds. There were all of these things that it sounds absolutely insane to me.
Yeah.
Trust me, when I put it out there, and I'm like, most people are like, okay, what are you doing? Oh, and by the way, a month after I started my real estate career, we decided to buy our first together fix and
Okay.
flip. So we bought our new house, and then I ran all of the project management of flipping that house while trying to figure out what I was doing in real estate. So yeah, I definitely look back and I think I must have been crazy,
Yeah.
probably a little bit, right? It took me about 5 years in when I will say when I hit the 100 million mark was when I had a big wake up.
That's
And I was
impressive.
like, I need a reality check here because what am I doing this all for? What's next? I just kept setting these
You.
milestones and I was like,
Mhm.
what's the point of them? So I started to question things. This past year in particular, I had a bit of a health scare. So I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, common variable immune deficiency, and it rocked my world. And I like to give myself credit and I remind my husband on a regular basis, more just to
Mhm.
reassure myself, I think, than anything else. But I'm like, I'm doing a great job of handling this, by the way, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people would have had this meltdown moment and just, kind of caved in. And I've had a lot of different things throughout my life. I've just always been of the mentality I don't want to be a victim and I don't want to be a survivor. I want to be a thriver. So, how do I adapt my life and do this? But I think for a large part of my life, my version of adapting was just charging straight ahead and pushing through.
Oh,
And I'm
go. Yeah.
finally, yeah, go, 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 right?
Mhm.
I finally got to a place this past year where I was like, I got to pull my foot off the gas. And I've got to really take a close look in the mirror and figure out, what am I doing? Are my goals the same as what they were? And is it realistic for me to be able to take care of myself mentally and physically and still keep doing this? And the answer was no. I have to give myself infusions every other week now. And it's about a 3.5 to 4 hour process. And so I
So,
physically
yeah.
have to sit still. I laugh. My infusion nurse actually got me this really awesome little carry bag. And again, I think people think I'm nuts for being excited about this, but I'm like, glass half full, right?
Yeah.
I have this carry bag now. He was like, I have never seen anything more painful in my entire career than watching you attempt to sit still. He was like, it is literally agonizing for you. And I'm like, yes, it is. It really is. Like, I just need to go. So he's like, I got you a cute little portable bag. He's like, you are not to be go running around and doing these infusions on the go. He was like,
Yeah.
but you can at least get up and pace
Okay.
and move and do
Mhm.
your thing. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Right. So I think a lot of it is giving yourself the grace and space to lean into what's going on, listening to your body. I think in real estate, you talked about the grind of it, the pace. I think a lot of us just keep pushing, pushing. It's easy to get sucked into it because it's a 7 day a week job, right? There is no day off. You just keep going. And, we joke, but it's really not funny that the realtor cycle is coffee, stress, alcohol, repeat. I'm like, that's not okay, right? We have to take care of
Definitely.
ourselves.
Hmm.
I liken it to, we don't have any children. I just have my fluff ball. But if I don't take care of myself, then I'm not truly taking care of my clients. Because if I can't be there and be fully focused and on, it's not worth
Definitely.
it,
It's
right?
whenever you don't feel good, you're not capable of helping others and being in the situation, the position of like being okay to give good advices and try to give
Exactly.
the best treat you can to your client.
Yeah,
Can you share any specific strategies or practice you've implemented to successfully like integrate
absolutely.
your personal like wellness into your
hmm
daily routine?
I put boundaries on my time. So I am
Okay.
now available Monday through Friday from 9 to 7 and weekends by appointments only. And I stick to it. Literally, my phone is pre-programmed now. It goes into sleep mode and
Nice.
silence
Mm-hmm.
at 7:01 p.m. and it does not turn back on until 9 a.m. I had my assistant set up Boomerang on my inbox. So
Okay.
if I am tempted to check my email,
You
it
cannot.
pauses my inbox. I can't. Right. And I had her do that because I was like, one, I don't want to learn how to do this because then I'll learn how to undo it.
Okay.
And two, I know I need that accountability because I'll be like, well, it's just a minute. I've got a minute. And I was like, I've got to be able to shut that down. Right. Do I make exceptions? Yes. If I'm in the middle of negotiating a contract, 100%, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
But generally, I've found communicating that to my clients, communicating that to the agents that I mentor and work with, they're fine with it, right? They just need to
Yes.
know. So
Mm-hmm.
setting those clear communications are huge. I get up in the morning and now every single morning I either go for a walk, I ride a bike, or I do Pilates. I'm
It's amazing.
physically active every morning now, which is sadly a big change for me lifestyle wise. I got a lot of steps in going in and out of those houses and up and down the stairs, but it
Yeah.
wasn't really
Yeah.
exercise.
Yeah.
I cut back on alcohol big time.
Nice.
I used to come home and I'd have a glass of wine every night, and it was like no big deal. And now I'm like, okay, 2 nights a week max. That's it. I have my jumbo water jug with me everywhere. So I make it my daily goal. I have to finish off 3 of these. I have to have 110 ounces of water every single day. So it's like just creating some routines that I didn't have and making sure I'm making that mental space for myself. So I'm not waking up and immediately on and going, and just giving my brain and my body time to ease into the morning. I'm a big tea drinker. So I love getting up and having my cup of tea, and the
Yeah.
dog loves to snuggle with me. So it's like the two of us just have our chill moment for 30 minutes in the morning and just ease into it.
That's really good for your brain because in one part you can shut down your brain like, okay, now I have time for like to think on myself, to think my mental health, my one.
Yes.
And the other part that's amazing, your mindset is amazing. Like it's hard working mindset. You're definitely a good host here in our show. Can
Thank you.
so collaborate in like collaboration and teamwork
hmm
are often emphasized in the real estate industry. How do you
Absolutely.
foster like your a collaborative environment within your team at Lodestone Real Estate?
Mhm. So, one of the things that I did when I took over the team is I shifted so that each agent has a specific region of the city they're responsible for rather
Mhm.
than covering the whole city. Two
Okay.
reasons for this. Number one, from the client's end, you now have someone who is an absolute expert because they live, work, play in that location. So they know
Mhm.
everything that's going on, what's coming up, like they can talk to you about the different development, etc. The other reason for it, there's no more competition, right? You're no longer competing against an agent on your own team for the same
Yep.
exact listing because you're not going after the same areas. So that helped create a much more collegial and supportive environment. I think also part of it is just in the way that I teach and train my agents is about having that grace and space for time off. I really, really emphasize with them not to be like me. I really push them hard and I say, listen, I'm not going to tell you to learn by example because I wasn't a good one for a long time. I want to be a good one now and I want to make sure I hold them to that. So when they go on vacation, the whole team steps in and covers, and everyone's been
Mhm.
really great about, all right, Tomas is going on vacation.
Mhm.
Here's who's got this day. We're going to shift and cover his clients. We're going to make sure he doesn't miss a beat so that he can
Yeah.
actually enjoy that time, unplug, recharge, and everybody just helps out. If someone's sick, we have a group text thread and it's just, hey, you know what? One of our agents had the flu this winter and she's like, I literally cannot move my head. No worries. We sent some chicken soup over. We're like, get well, keep us posted. What do you have going on that we can do? We are all in a shared database. So everybody has eyes on what. So it's really, really easy if someone steps away to just step in and keep going for them. And their clients don't notice any shift and they get the rest and the recharging that they need.
That's
So
that's a
that's a
really good,
big thing.
yeah, that's a good example of a successful like collaboration and teamwork.
Yeah.
Do you like have like
Yeah.
one experience that significantly impacted like a project or a client interaction of like collaboration or
Ooh,
teamwork that you want to
I've
share
had
with us?
some I've had some really good experiences with clients. I'd say overall, the most rewarding for me are the people who, it's been a dream for them to buy that home. And it's something that's the first for them and their family to do, or that their dream has been to create this lifestyle. At Lodestone, we're all about the lifestyle, not really the house itself. It's
Okay.
about what's the life that you want to live, right? And let's be very intentional about that. So when we're doing our consultation with our clients, it's okay, what do you want in your life? Forget about the 3 beds, 2 baths, 2,500 square feet, whatever. We'll get to that. We'll figure that out. Most importantly, what does your day to day and your dream world look like? For me and my husband, I spend all day in a car driving around, right? I don't want to come home, get back in the car and go drive to dinner, go drive to the shops, right? I want to be able to walk everywhere. So for us, we set our targets on, okay, we're going to fix and flip homes until we can afford to get into this neighborhood.
Yeah.
And, this is what we're going to do to get there. And so when we were able to buy a house where we are now, that was a huge dream realized for us because now every day, we come home and we can just walk out the front door and go take care of whatever we want. We can go to the farmer's market on the weekend. We can take the
Mhm.
dog out. So it's really about creating that vision of what's the life you want to live. I think a lot of us get so hung up on trading up to that next house, the bigger house, the better house. And I think it's just ingrained in us in some ways in society of like, you've always got to have like, one thing better. I'm like, quit comparing yourself to everybody else. Quit looking for that next thing. What is it that you want? Right? And what is it that you actually need? And let's be really intentional
Yeah.
about that. And let's go help
Mhm.
you make decisions that lead to that. We're doing a financial advocacy series right now with one of our local financial advisor groups, the John Ullman group.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
it is a huge passion project for us because it's literally a quarterly educational series of let's teach you this is how you build wealth through real estate investment, right? Our one we have coming up on the 25th is financial literacy for children. Like, I
Amazing.
want to teach them from a young age, this is what you do, because we all have a vision of what we want our life to be like. And I think a lot of us just let go of that, right? We
Uh,
get in our 9 to 5 grind and we just say, well, this is it. And I'm like, why? let's go after those dreams, right? Let's go actually make them happen.
How can people access to this series?
The financial series, I can share the link with you for them to do that. It's if they go
That's amazing.
on Instagram at Lodestone REI, we have it posted on there and they can click that link. April 25th is the next one. We have a 11 a.m. slot for lunchtime. And then we also have a 6 o'clock for the after work hour, after school hour. But we're encouraging anybody and everyone, come bring your kids, participate. And if there's stuff that happens out of it, I have a group of 4 moms I'm working with right now. I'm super excited about. They all want their kids to come back, right? All of their kids are about to graduate from college and they want them to come back, but they're so stressed because the rents have gotten pretty high. Like, well, how are they supposed to afford this? And one of them said, well, my husband and I were talking about, do we help them out with their rent? What do we do? And I said, what about buying a house? And they looked at me kind of like, I said, well, sounds like all of your kids are friends, right? They would probably live together anyhow. Yes. Yes. Okay. How about the 4 of you go in, buy a house, have the kids pay you a reasonable amount of rent that will help them get in that habit, right? Help them keep saving. And eventually in a few years, you go ahead and sell that house. Each of you gets your initial investment back and then divide the equity 4 ways. You've just set your kids up for their own properties and getting them going, right? Yeah. And at the same time, you've helped your own financial goals. Because one of the things we're seeing a lot of, especially in the news lately, are these parents that are dipping into their own retirement accounts and using that money to help support their kids, to get them out of that rent cycle, to help them to buy a house. And it's a detriment to their own long-term goals. So how do we support an initiative that helps both ends? So
yeah, definitely. Going back, I really loved your approach on what's your lifestyle. That's amazing. And that's definitely for me like a way to create loyal clients. You're not just looking at your interests, but you're say like trying, almost doing like a psychiatric job. Wait, what do you want? What do you want? I'm being like your therapist. So besides that approach, how do you create loyal clients like who send you referrals like for life?
I think part of it is being authentic, right? Being a good human being to work with. I think salespeople in general don't have the best reputation. We work really hard at changing that and making sure that they're aware, listen, we're here for you. Your needs come first. And we're not going to push you into something that doesn't work for you, that you're not comfortable with. We're going to do this on your pace and your time and your scale. And I always tell my clients, I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm from New Jersey. I don't have a filter. I'm going to apologize in advance, but you're going to love me or you're going to hate me. Hopefully you love me, right? Okay. If I think that house that they just fell in love with because, it's the brand new shiny object, if I'm looking and saying, this is not good quality work, or the permits weren't pulled, or I'm going to be honest and tell them. And I tell them, I'm going to tell you that at the end of the day, it is your decision. If you still want to move forward with this, I'm going to 100% support you and negotiate for you and work on your behalf to get this closed. I just can't sleep at night if I haven't shared with you, I don't think this is the best decision and here's why. So I think just being authentic, being honest with them, it also comes with following up. And one of my favorite things about Lodestone is we are there with them for life. So when I sit down with clients for the first time, I think it probably is a little scary maybe, but I tell them, listen, this is our first date. And if we go on a second date, then you better be ready to marry me because you're going to be part of my family for the rest of my life, right? Yeah. I am going to be in touch with you for all eternity. This week it was actually really exciting. I closed the 3rd property with the same couple. And they're one of the first people that I worked with.
That's impressive.
And they have 3 kids now. The youngest is 5, which is insane to me. He was literally born the day of one of our closings. Wow. And it's just crazy to me that we've been through this, but getting to be a part of their lives and seeing that journey is really, really fun for me. We do a really good job with staying in touch. We check in with them at least once a month. We do events like the financial event. We do client appreciation events. We're really, really grateful for our clients and we want to make sure that they know it. Without them, we don't exist. So I think that's a big piece of it. And I think a lot of times agents get really caught up in the transaction. They get excited about that. and then it's on to the next. And so they have the best of intentions, but that consistency isn't there. And to me, that's what I have found has made it so successful. I mean, we're a 98% referral team. So that's where our business comes from.
You guys are doing an amazing job for sure. For sure.
Thank you.
And one thing you talked to us about was the salesman. They have a bad reputation because for a salesman, it's always like a numbers game. And we can, from the other part of the view, they can feel like, well, these people are way too cold. They don't see the persons, they only see numbers. And it's tough to get out of the reputation, but getting those 98% of referrals are definitely because you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
Yeah. So can you share a specific instance where prioritizing integrity and kindness positively influenced a business decision or a client relationship?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like it happens all the time. I would say one that sticks out probably the most in my mind, still slightly horrifies me, but it felt really good after the fact. This is a few years ago. We had a referral call. One of the new construction salespeople that we've done a lot of business with reached out. She had a homeowner who had bought early on the first phase, basically, of the community that was now about to close out. She said he came into the office to ask me if I could help him and his wife sell their home. And she said, obviously, I don't do that kind of sales. So I asked them if they'd like a referral to a phenomenal agent, knows the neighborhood well. So she was like, I hope it's okay giving your information. I said, of course it's okay. Thank you so much. I'm flattered. Appreciate you thinking of me. So we went on the interview, and it was interesting because I was sitting down with this couple and it just something felt a little off. I just didn't feel the warm and fuzzies. And, sometimes you're sitting there with that client, you're like, oh, not sure energetically this is going to be the best fit, right? You've got that spidey sense going, but you're like, let me keep going. And I was flipping through my team, and our marketing director has this beautiful, beautiful listing packet that she puts together for us. So I'm going through it, and there's a photo of my team. And I shared with the clients, I said, listen, just so you're aware, one or more of these agents will be here hosting the open houses. I don't personally host them most of the time. It's an opportunity I like to give to my agents so they can help build their business. I will, of course, be training them fully in exactly what the key features are of your home, how to speak about it, etc. And I had an African-American woman on my team at the time. And he said, well, I don't want that person in my house. And I said, excuse me? And he said, I don't want that person in my house. I'm not going to use the word he used. And I said, you know what? All due respect, then I don't think you want me in your house either. And I closed the book and I picked it up and I walked out the door. And I came back to my team, and here I was feeling guilty to my team because this was at a point where we were just getting started, right? We didn't have this history. We needed that sale. And I said to them, listen, I just gave up a potential opportunity for you guys to earn business. I want to share with you why, and I'm sorry. And all the women looked at me in that room and they said, we've never been prouder to be part of this team. They're like, the fact that you put your values.
Standards, definitely. And that mindset defines, like, definitely for long term, that defines who you want to have in your team, who you want to serve.
Yes.
And that's brilliant. Even though in the beginning, you can definitely let go those first steps.
Right. It's hard. And it's like, I get that when I watch some agents and they're brand new and you are struggling. But to me, it's something my parents just really instilled me. You never compromise on who you are. Don't compromise on your values. And if you stick with it, it'll come around.
Alison,
and
you're definitely the person that could give us, like, what advice would you give to an individual aiming personal balance, well-being, collaboration, and being good people while pursuing success in the real estate industry?
The number one thing for me is just being a good person. You don't get to work with me if you're not a good person. I swore to myself when I left my first career, when you're in a corporate environment, you work with who's hired. You don't really have much say in that, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't really love all the people that I worked with at every place. I didn't think all of them were good people. There were some phenomenal ones. So I swore to myself when I got into this and I took over the team, I was like, I'm only going to work with really good people. I'm going to work with people who, when they go out and they're with my clients, I know that they're going to put my clients first and that they're always going to take care of them and do the right thing, even when the right thing is the difficult thing. So that's my number one thing. I think, could we have probably been more successful if I went off of who I thought would be the absolute best sales
Depends
agent?
on the
Sure.
depends on the
But
point
at what
where you seek
cost?
success. Yeah, depends on the point where you
Yes.
seek success. So we're
Yes.
almost on the end of the episode, and in this final part, I like to make three questions: one about the past,
Okay.
one about the future, and one fun question. So,
Okay.
looking back at your journey, what do you consider like the most valuable lesson you've learned about writing?
Patience.
Patience? Yeah.
As we've said earlier in the episode, it's a grind. So you've got to be consistent and you've just got to be patient and you've got to put in the reps and it'll come to you.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And where do you go from here? What are your goals?
So actually, I'm very excited. So I just turned 40 last week, and I think I'm probably one of the few people who is ecstatic about being 40. But we recently launched a new version of Lodestone, kind of a spin out of it called Reside. So we have built a 3-tier model. The base is for brand new agents. So we've hit the easy button for them. So here's your listing packet, here's your buyer's packet, here's your 12 months of postcards that you need. All of the things that I wish I had when I got started of just, okay, just click the button and they're there, right? So wanting to create that for agents that aren't part of a team and don't have Lodestone and don't have the marketing directors and everything else. So that's one part of it. The second part of it is actually me consulting with people who have been successful and are trying to build out a team and getting them set on a business model that makes sense and is financially stable. And then the third piece is team leaders who are running a great team, don't really have the brand, not something they want to focus on. And they're like, I just
Mhm.
want to focus on selling real estate. How do I do this?
Yeah.
They can come under, take on the brand. Then I train the team leader to go train their team and get that out there. So my goal is to be in all 50 states by the time I'm 50. So I have 10 years to make this happen. So that's the plan for the future.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I think you're gonna get it. You have the mindset, and I
Yes.
believe in you. I believe in you. We got
Thank you.
one
I
last,
appreciate it.
we got one last fun question for you. So,
Okay.
Icons of Real Estate is the number one real estate podcast network, and is passionate about making podcasting accessible. If you
Okay.
had your own podcast, what would you call it?
That's a tough one. I would say I need my marketing director on this one. She's so clever with this stuff. I would say, I don't know, getting real with Allie or something about just being real, getting real about
Okay,
life.
keeping it
I
real.
like keeping it real. There you go. Keeping it real with Allie. There you go. I love what I do as a realtor. I think there's a lot more to it too, though. And I love that there's a level of humanity
Mhm.
in real estate, especially at EXP. I love the fact that there's so much collaboration there,
Yeah.
regardless of if you're on the same team or not. To me, that's been an incredible part of this journey. I think part of how I've been able to icon. And so sharing some of those things and sharing with these new agents, hey, not every day is going to be great, right? Some of them are going to be really hard. Here's some of the
Yeah.
ways I've gotten kicked in the teeth over the years, right? It
Hmm.
happens.
Yeah.
You pick yourself up, you keep going, and here's how you do it. And by the way, if you need that support, here's some great people, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I love that Glenn Sanford shared at one of the first speaking engagements I saw him at, he said, I have created 17 businesses, 13 of them have failed horribly. I sat there and I let that sink in and I said, huh, well, you're doing pretty darn good right now. And thank goodness he kept going because EXP obviously
Well,
wasn't the first one. So we wouldn't
yeah.
have this if he hadn't. So I think just kind of sharing that story and giving that impact to people, I
Mhm.
would love to do that. Just keep it real.
Keep it real. And
Yeah.
how can our audience reach you?
They
Tell us.
can reach me at Lodestone REI on Instagram. My email is Allison with one L at lodestonerealestate.com. Those are probably the two best ways to reach me. I am actually not good at texting, so
Okay.
I prefer email.
It's amazing. And with that, we've reached the end of our enlightening discussion with Alison. Alison, thank you for sharing invaluable insights on balancing personal well-being with professional success, the importance of collaboration, and the ethos of being good people in the real estate. Your journey and wisdom are truly inspiring. We are
Well,
grateful for the opportunity to learn from you. On
thank
behalf of
you.
Icons of Real
I'm
Estate and our listeners, thank you, Alison, for your time and expertise.
Thank you. I'm the one
Yeah.
who's grateful for the opportunity, and I appreciate you guys inviting me on here.
Yeah. Until next time, Take care and stay inspired.